So, Acheron is going to be the newest 5-star Nihility unit coming out in the 2.1 update in Phase 1. As of now, many people in the community have tried to figure out her best build, and in this video, I will give you all the possible ways to build her. Acheron's playstyle, while being a Nihility unit, works more along the lines of a destruction character. How she works is whenever you implement a debuff on the enemy, you gain a stack of Slashed Dream. Once 9 stacks of Slashed Dream have been accumulated, you can use her ultimate. Another thing to note on how to increase her overall damage is through her trace, the Abyss. Her damage varies between having 1 or 2 other Nihility characters, scaling from 115% for 1 unit to 160% for 2 Nihility units. So, now understanding the basic premises of her playstyle, let's discuss the best Lightcone and relics for her. Arguably the hardest part for build is deciding on her Lightcone. Since Acheron is of the Nihility path, it limits her on just how many Lightcones she's able to use because she's only able to pick from the Nihility path. And, only a few options really boost the damage from Nihility. Typically, for most characters, it is okay to simply skip the signature Lightcones, as free-to-play options are great, especially if you can superimpose 5 of them. However, with Acheron, the signature is just frankly the absolute best option. Her signature and best Lightcone option along the passing shore provides 36% crit damage, allowing the ultimate to do 24% more damage, and applies a debuff known as Empty Bubbles to the target, which causes the target with empty bubbles to receive additional 24% more damage. 2 other signature options that could work somewhat would be Welt Signature in the Name of the World, increasing damage to debuff enemies by 24% at S0, and Kafka's Lightcone, Patience is All You Need, increasing her damage by 24% at S0. The only 4-star option that would work would be Good Night and Sleep Well, which boosts damage against enemies with a debuff by 12% at S0. Unlike her Lightcone options, I think her relic set options are a bit more wide open. The set that I believe is to be her best in slot would be Pioneer Diver in Deep Waters, increasing damage against debuffed enemies, and also increasing crit rate and increased damage to enemies that have 2 or 3 debuffs, something that Acheron teams will consistently have up. Other options could be running 2-piece of both the Band of Sizzling Thunder and Musketeer of Wild Wheat, increasing her lightning damage by 10% with the Sizzling Thunder, and a flat 10% increase of attack with the Wild Wheat set. For her planner ornament sets, I think that the brand new set coming on the 2.1 update will be Acheron's best set. It's going to be known as Izumo Gensai and Takama Divine Realm, and it's going to provide a base 12% attack increase. And if you have at least one other character of the same path, it's going to further increase the crit rate of 12%, something that's going to work very well with Acheron. Giving her the Abyss trace requires her to have 1 or 2 other Nihility characters to further increase her overall damage. Next up would be the Space Sealing Station. It not only increases the base attack by 12%, but if you have Acheron speed over 120, it grants a further 12% additional attack. Firmament Frontline Glamoth increases the attack by 12%, and if speed is higher than 130 or 160, it's going to further increase the damage by 12% or 18%. Celestial Differentiator increases crit damage by 16%, and if your crit damage percent is over 120, then your crit rate is going to increase by 60% for the first turn. Quite frankly, I think this is the worst out of the options I'm providing, but it's just an additional option if at the moment those have the best rolls. As you can see with the Lightcone and relic options, Acheron is a damage dealing specialist and focuses on that more than any other Nihility character in the game. The major downside to her though, as many other people have and will discuss, is how limited she is on both Lightcone options and best teammates. As for her, the Abyss trace, you need to have 2 other Nihility characters at E0 to get the absolute most, and with her also being Nihility, drastically limits her on great Lightcone options other than her own signature. Regardless of her downsides, I still do believe that Acheron will not only be the best DPS in the game, but a character that will carry in harder pieces of content because of the massive amount of damage she is capable of outputting, even if you only have one copy.